It's Daybreak on the Rise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's take a look at This Day newspaper, our sister publication. Including headline, ECWA President Church will announce presidential choice soon. Some riders there. Northern Christians already settled for Atiku. That's from Dogara. Former Vice President warns Muslim ticket recipe for disaster. Meanwhile, INEC hails ECWA's commission over dialogue with parties ahead of elections. That leading photo there's of President Buhari as he receives award for strengthening peace in Africa. That was from the Abu Dhabi Peace Forum in Mauritania. More headlines, MRA to APC, that's the media rights agenda, to APC's Presidential Campaign Council. Your blatant disregard for journalists' rights pretends grave danger for the media. Meanwhile, Yakubu insists INEC will hold elections despite attacks on facilities. And above the nameplate of This Day this morning, federal government says Nigeria has enough external reserves to withstand global recession and shocks.
In the Punch newspaper, police presence at Emefiele's Abuja home stirs controversy. The central bank governor is expected to appear in court today over $53 million judgment debt. Subsidy, federal government says borrowing to import fuel, no more. $1 billion spent to recover territories seized by terrorists. That's according to President Buhari. And the new Vice Chancellor promises to make the University of Lagos Solution Center.
The Nation newspaper this morning. Atiku plans sale of nation's assets to allies. That's coming from Tinubu. APC candidate urges Kwara to sustain political freedom. Uzodinma Remi Tinubu rally Southeast women. Governors to engage CBN on Naira redesign. Meanwhile, Yakubu says INEC won't succumb to security threats. This was at Chatham House yesterday. Above the nameplate of The Nation this morning, Boko Haram sponsors' aim was to split Nigeria. That's coming from the president. Meanwhile, don't behave like ASU, Ngige tells the new union Konwa. What's going on there? More on page 6.
Now let's move on to the Leadership newspaper, and it's leading with Durbar hotel bombing, mystery around Baguda Kaltu's death unresolved 27 years after. Tinubu hits Atiku again, alleges plan to sell Nigeria. And Atiku says he will make Nigerians happy as president. 23.7 trillion naira request. Finance Minister CBN holding National Assembly to ransom. That's according to the Senate. The
Guardian Nigeria this morning, a leading headline. Uneasy calm at CBN as officials grapple with integrity issues. CBN DSS downplay dismiss Emefiele's arrest saga as speculative.
Moving over to the international papers now, and this is the Financial Times. It says IMF outlook turns brighter as world copes with upheaval.
The Independence this morning, an exclusive. As Britain faces mass walkouts, the health secretary warns NHS nurses, you take the money and your patients will pay the price.
And in the I-paper, stop forcing families onto prepay meters, Shaps warns. Well, this is the Guardian now. Guardian UK clamour for inquiry into officers who allowed rapists to stay in Met, and £21 million paid to boss of problem care homes.
All right, for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
This day's headline, ECWA's president says the church will announce presidential choice soon. This comes as Dogara says, look, Northern Christians already standing behind the PDP's presidential candidate Atiku. And this comes on the back of President Buhari receiving that award for galvanizing peace in Africa.
Well, yeah, we're in the presidential election season now, and it's crunch time, and I think the moment for endorsements are here, and so every every endorsement now is very important. So the kind of support you are getting from any angle, it becomes very important. It makes a case for you. So these endorsements, whether it is the kind of reward the Buhari is getting in Mauritania, or the support that the ECWA Church is saying that it's going to announce very soon. There are people who are having issues with, religious bodies announcing who they want to support, considering that even in ECWA Church, for instance, I'm sure they've got people who support Tinubu and others who support Peter Obi or so. So people don't really, there are critics of all that say, look, it's not for churches or for religious body to really go into this. But the churches will always argue, or the religious body will argue that, look, we're also concerned about good governance. And that, like ECWA is saying, where they are studying all the candidates, and they probably will guide their members. Maybe not force it down their throat, like some other religious organizations may accused of in the past, saying that, look, you want to force your members to do a particular candidate. But maybe just as a way of guidance, and saying, as a church or as a religious body, we are supporting this candidate for this other reason. Already Dogara is saying that Northern Christians will support Atiku, and that is based on science, the scientific findings. It's really helped them to decide on that, because in that support, Dogara was saying that there's no clear path to Peter Obi becoming president, and that the Tinubu Muslim ticket does not resonate with the Christian community, and so their best bet is to go for the Atiku Okowa ticket, because that is more reflective of who we are as a people and all of that. It's an ongoing argument and an ongoing debate, but we'll see how it pans out.
Well, while all the arguments are going on, Emmanuel, INEC still having challenges with the tax on its offices. Despite that, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud, is saying that the elections will go on because the young people are here to take back the country.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of push. We were talking about it last week. The sort of reassurances we need from INEC to say, look, we can still have this election despite the situation. We're not at war, at an all-blown out war already. Though people will worry, of course, about their security, because some people will need to travel. I was speaking to a voter yesterday who said, look, I'm worried because I'm supposed to vote back home. Some of these people did their PVCs, at a much more peaceful period in the country. And now, some of them are even scared of going home too. So they might be disenfranchised because of the situation. But the INEC boss is saying, look, we're going ahead with the election. It's a sort of reassurances that we need to hear. But beyond that, beyond just talking about it, they need to also reassure us on how BVAS is going to change, be a game changer in all of this. And that elections, votes will really count. I think it's a sort of solid commitment and reassurances that Nigerians want to be hearing from INEC.
Emmanuel, another sector that's important to the election is the media. And this day is reporting that the media rights agenda is calling, or we are saying to the APC's Presidential Campaign Council that they're having a disregard to journalists and a disregard for media's rights. And they're saying this portends to a danger if their candidate prevails in the elections.
Well, I think it's a serious concern, because I mean that episode was very, very annoying. And if you do this job in Kechi, like we all do, we go for freedom. I mean, naturally we reach out. We want to be free. We don't want any gagging. We don't need anybody telling us we are not invited. We invite ourselves. And in a democracy, you don't invite the media, so to speak. You invite the media. The media goes to wherever it wants to go. So the idea of saying that, look, you weren't invited, this was a private meeting, it's neither here nor there. So yes, the media rights people are on, spots on there and saying that, look, the Tinubu campaign, we have to show more. And the funny thing is that this Tinubu campaign is actually made up of really, really top-level journalists. Our own Mamu Jega recently joined, and you have other people, very respectful journalists, who are on that team. So they need to actually talk to the campaign from the inside and tell them that, look, journalists generally go for freedom of expression, freedom of the press, because that's one leg of democracy, the free press. If you don't have a free press, you don't have one that is free to do whatever it wants to report, if you have to gag it, if you have to tell it what to do. And that's what the Tinubu campaign has done recently, with a lot of people wondering, just like the media right, are wondering that, okay, if you form a government, what else are you going to do? Because the way a campaign goes, Nkechi, that's how the government that is going to be formed will be doing. If this campaign doesn't allow for, for the free access, the freedom that journalists love to enjoy. If you don't do that now, is it when you form a government and you have all those powers? What again? So yes, journalists are bound to worry what's going to happen to them if there is a Tinubu presidency. Will they have the freedom that they need, or will there be this gagging and this, talks that they should, they must be giving them, assets before they're able to, get to where they want to report. So none of us like that, and that's why I think this is such a serious thing, and it's a good thing that this day is focusing on it on the front page of the paper.
While we're worried about how to vote, Emmanuel, we're still worried about petrol. It's difficult moving around now because the queues, they just come and go. And this day, the Punch rather is reporting the federal government says we're borrowing to import fuel. And one wonders, where did all our money go to?
Good question. And Kenneth, if I have the answer to that, I think I will be a billionaire sitting right here. Where did all that money go to? But beyond that, how can a country like this, I mean, these are the things that is, the issues that are very frustrating and very embarrassing. That a leading producer of oil will still have this kind of issues. And I think the whole of last year, this in particular, stayed on the oil sector, looking at it from various angles. The crisis of the refineries, the problem of oil theft, even the global oil markets as it relates to us, and all the other issues. But this year, we're getting a glimmer of hope that, for instance, the Dangote refinery is going to be on board, and that, where some of these issues are going to be solved. But the more you look at it, the less you find any kind of serious concrete solution, because out there, people are still having difficulties to assess, what a country like Nigeria shouldn't be having difficulties getting. So it's a serious problem, and yes, those questions are very valid. What are we doing? What is this government not even getting right?
Emmanuel Bello, yesterday we thought normalcy was returning to the CBN when it was announced that the governor, Godwin Emefiele, has resumed from his annual leave and he's back to work, and he said he was following through with President Buhari's trajectory. Now there's reports on the front of the Punch newspaper that there's police outside his house as he's expected to be appear in court today. The CBN, the DSS, the security authorities have really tried to downplay this controversy, but it seems like it's not going anywhere, Manuel.
Yes, you're right, Nkechi. Actually, yesterday we were upbeat that maybe we won't be hearing most of this. You were actually were suggesting that there will be an MPC next week, and then life is just going to go normal. But we're waking up this story with these reports and this news that no, Emefiele is not out of the woods yet. The Guardian did a very interesting story. It's actually almost editorializing the entire situation. The Guardian looking at all the various aspects of the Emefiele, DSS, and the courts tango, and so it's interesting what the Guardian is reporting, saying that, look, the Apex Bank is actually now facing the problem of integrity. Some serious weighty allegations were raised against Emefiele, and it seems as if, those who are doing the hard work of telling us that, well, Emefiele is professional and that the CBN is doing his job and all of that, we have to do more, because what the Punch is reporting now is that the police, but then, Nkechi, the Punch report is saying it's not about all the other accusations around Emefiele. It has to do with those Paris Club deductions that the governors are having with the club. That's a much more, easier thing to worry about, and if he's appearing in court for that, you can say that, well, that is not what worries a lot of people. Those who are worried about Emefiele are worried about those, terrorism financing accusations that have been thrown on him. There's some serious silence about that because the DSS is saying, look, we don't operate that way and we're not picking him. That's some kind of relief for fans of Emefiele that is not facing all of that. But this other crisis of the Paris Club and him appearing in court, will still agitate the minds of those who are, supporters of Emefiele who don't want him to worry about this thing. They just want him to be the professional that he is, do those MPC meetings, and then just move the economy forward. The sort of thing that Emefiele says he likes to do, which is, use the CBN as a tool in working towards a better economy. Some of these stories around him are just really, really distraction. Both for him, of course, and of course his supporters who think he should be getting gallant instead of those kind of accusations around him.
We appreciate your insight this morning, Emmanuel. That's the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaybreak.